All right, getting ready to fire up the table saw. I've got this attached to the saw from beneath with a couple of screws. It's also attached to my wooden zero clearance cutout. And we're just gonna turn it on. I probably won't be able to talk over the saw. It's a pretty old, pretty loud saw, but you'll see pretty quick kind of how I do this. Again, this is not a recommendation, not a how-to. This is how I do it, but I do not recommend this process. It is extremely dangerous. You can easily hurt yourself, and you should never pass boards through a saw or any kind of tool in a way that they're not intended, and this is certainly not how this tool is intended. So please do not do this. All right, that being said, fire up my dust collector. I do not expect this dust collector is going to catch any of this dust at all, since most of it's going to fly out this opening here, but I'll catch what we can, and let's see what we're dealing with. You gotta close the door so it doesn't get dust inside. Here we go. All right, let me give you all a little peek at what we're doing. You can kind of see the groove it's cutting in there. The groove on the outside of the radius out here has a bevel to it because of the geometry of the blade when you're coming across it at an angle. The inside of that cut is almost perfectly straight up and down if you get your blade centered on your workpiece. Get into focus there. We've only cut through a little over 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Try to get you in focus. There you go. I'm going to keep cutting, and when this last piece comes off, it can be kind of dangerous too, because you've got a loose piece of wood wrapped around the saw blade that may want to fly somewhere or grab somewhere, so you might look at finishing it off by hand, but we'll just see what happens. Okay. Safety first. And wear a mask. Okay, I lowered the blade down where it doesn't contact. Get her fired back up. Be real careful, don't let this blade grab and start spinning your piece. I've never had it happen. I've always made sure I've got a good grip on it somewhere away from the blade, but I can see that going wrong a couple ways. right, as you can see, it's starting to cut through the surface here. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit more, hog out some more material, just so I don't have to make multiple passes through the surface layer here. I'd like that to be one continuous cut through there. This thing doesn't move around a lot, but that Lazy Susan is not a perfect piece of engineering. It's definitely got quite a little bit of play to it. So anyway, I'm going to get her turned back on, brought back up, and we'll make the final pass here. But it's only taken about, it's a total about 10 minutes. It would have only been about 5 without stops. But here we go. Got her gripped well, get her fired up. Probably should have worn an apron. This was a clean floor when I started. That dust collector probably didn't do much of anything to help with this. If I had put a dust collect chute on the front, which I considered doing, it probably would have helped quite a bit. Plus it would have cleared some of the, I don't know if y'all can tell the smoke in here. This room is thick with smoke. But there you have it. She is pretty close. Give you a reference point there. Pretty close to perfectly round. So I'm pleased with the way that turned out. We'll see if my wife is happy with it. And if she's not, well, it's kind of just tough. If she wants to do this, I'll let her have at it. Anyway, something I should have mentioned. I knew I was going to be cutting through a fair number of nails in this, or I expected I would. I don't see very many of them here, but there were a few spots on that final pass where it sounded like it was catching nails. There's going to be a little bit of cleanup. I'm going to take a router and chamfer the edge here with a little 45-degree router pass. No, I don't think I see any nails. I thought for sure I heard a couple of them, but I don't see any nails in this. So I think I got lucky there. But as you can see, it did cut completely through that first piece of wood, which again was only there to help me center the other side of the board here. So I think that's a success. Take a router to her and call her good. That's one method to make a perfectly round disc, or as close to perfectly round as you're going to get with a table saw. Thanks for watching. If this was at all helpful to you, please like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments or any suggestions for another way to do this, I'd be more than happy to hear them and certainly love to see them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. And again, this is not a how-to. Please do not do any of what I did here other than wearing safety gear. Always wear safety gear. Do not use your tools in a way that they were not intended.